What's up, the generation? Welcome to the Big Bets on Campus podcast. This is the college football bowl betting preview part four. I'm Stucky, and joining me, as always, my BBOC fellow co-host Colin Wilson. Today, we will cover 11 bowls in total, Saturday through the first two on Tuesday. Won't go too much in depth on the first two on Tuesday. That's Alabama, Michigan, Washington, Louisville. Might be some more opt-outs. We will touch on what we like there, and we'll circle back on both of those games on Monday's episode in part five. So we'll go nine games in depth, mainly focusing on Saturday, which is one of the craziest bowl slates I've ever seen in my life. Has there ever been 8 bowl games in a day, Colin?
It's like a regular Saturday, right? I mean, it's the work felt like a regular Saturday in October.
It's insane. I do have to mention uh, the highs and lows of bowl season. And anyone out there that tells you, number one, that these bowl games are meaningless is wrong. Look at these kids crying on the field. Number two, anyone who says these games are terrible, we need to let them go, is wrong again. Because look at the last two nights. The Hawaii Bowl, the Potato Bowl. I think our producer, I mean, I don't even know if he has a family left. Might be homeless by now. Over Christmas, watching those two games. Christmas Eve
Yeah.
was made by the Hawaii Bowl. The highs and lows column from the under that we loved in the Potato Bowl, which is one of the worst beats I think I've ever had betting. I was sitting there saying we just need to dodge 20. We need to dodge overtime at 20-20.
Yeah.
I did not think 13-13 overtime we'd get there. And since when are we playing for double overtime, 3 overtime, 4 overtime, 5 overtimes in bowl games?
Right. Just go for two immediately.
You got to go for two anyway in the second overtime. It's a bowl game. You're playing for fries.
No, we're playing for the best dump of our life. Listen, I'm going to be on. I'm just going to be completely honest. That Potato Bowl, whether you had 39, 38 and a half, whether you had 40, or if you bought a half point like my
I
dump,
waited. I got 41
41.
at
Yeah,
close.
41. Right. I did not think college football at that level from Boise in freezing temps with a MAC team. I just didn't think that I could get the emotions anymore. The ones that I used to get when I was new to betting, the ones that would tilt me so bad I had to take walks or I considered smoking or I didn't think I could get tilted. And the Potato Bowl did that. Like the low of that stuck. I just didn't think emotionally I could get touched that way again. And the Potato Bowl destroyed me. The next night, holding a South Florida ticket, large South Florida ticket, and then a live over when once the San Jose State offense figured out who they were without Nick Nash was glorious. Just glorious. I am really glad anybody that got a bad South Florida number from us, listened to us late, and maybe got pick or -1 or something like that. I'm glad that that worked out for them too, because I'm telling you, there are peaks and valleys, and it all happened within a 28-hour span.
Yeah, it's the the great Byron Brown panic of I've that is that's what happens on when there's Christmas Eve. There's nothing else on.
It's you and me going back and forth on the depth chart, not confirmed.
He
Brett,
was, I don't
Brett with the South.
understand what Golish is doing. I mean, Bryce Archie, look, credit to the kid. He made that throw on 3rd and 10. He ended up winning the game. Byron Brown is significantly better. He was healthy enough to play because he came in when Archie got it, much to the chagrin of some people who had his props. But that was insane. I mean, that line just kept crashing and crashing. And yes, that is a lesson to anyone who does content or just has a Twitter account and has people that follow their bets. Root for every number and
Yes.
then be cognizant enough that when your side that you bet or gave out did cover, but not everyone might have covered, stay silent. Don't brag about.
There,
A lot of people are betting on game day and
there's a
be
reason when
aware.
I tweet. There's a reason when I tweet winners, I'll put a, and I'm not doing it to. I mean, fuck, we have an app. I don't need validation. When I put a comma and I say every number, it's because I'm thinking about the people that didn't get the number that I got. So be cognizant of the people that landed on the 38 and a halves versus the 41s or the twos versus the ones that it's important. It's important to Stuck and I. Trust me, we think about it and talk about it way more off camera than you guys would ever know.
All right, let's start 11 a.m. Eastern on Saturday, the Fenway Bowl, UConn versus North Carolina. This is the kind of misconception bowl I call it because everyone thinks what the wasabi, the
Well, the
fruit
logo
is,
looks like it. Yeah, the logo looks
yeah, is sponsoring this bowl, but it's a, I don't know, it's a tech brand or something. Big news in this game, 11 a.m. Eastern.
Oh, hey, where are you drinking in Boston before we get in?
So this is, I will say, sandwich places. Monica's, if you're on the north side, apparently really good sandwiches. Charlie's Sandwich Shop on the south side. And then I messaged, I don't know how reliable he is, but I messaged one of our degenerate editors, PJ Walsh, who I love. He says most of his dives in Boston went under during the pandemic, but the greatest bar, which I've actually been to once, is near TD Garden. He said that was his favorite spot if you were going to go somewhere before games in
Yep.
Boston. But sandwiches wise, Monica's, I think that's on the north side. Charlie's Sandwich Shop, which is like a diner on the south side. I am petrified to give suggestions on like the big cities because I know I'm going to be
Yeah.
wrong and everyone's going to say, no, don't go here. So that don't come at me. But Fenway Bowl, UConn versus North Carolina. Big news here. UNC fired head coach Mac Brown, who will not be with the team. It's Freddie Kitchens. You might remember him from his Browns days. He'll serve as the interim head coach. Bill Belichick is bringing him back. Offensive coordinator Chip Lindsey also left for the Michigan job. Wide receiver coach Lonnie Galloway, I believe he's going to be calling plays. He did so in the Holiday Bowl 2 years ago. It's not confirmed yet. There are some impactful opt-outs for UNC. Marion Hampton, who doesn't get talked about enough because of Ashton Genty, because of Cam Scatterboom, because UNC wasn't great this year. He was as good as any back in the country. Rucker, their defensive end, he declared for the NFL draft as well. Their defense took a major uptick once he came back from injury. He is a menace off of the edge. And then their starting defensive tackle also declared for the NFL draft. In the portal, one of their starting linebackers, their starting left tackle will be out. A couple guys went into the portal and withdrew. UConn, they have a couple guys in the portal, including their starting cornerback, their starting wide receiver. Both of those guys are important, but it appears they're going to play. Jim Morris said most of the guys in the portal are going to play. This is a tough game. You're definitely, this is UNC. This is the coachless spot, and the coachless spot where there's people that opted out that are key players, right? You go back over the past 2 years, teams without a coach, I think, are now 2-10 straight up, 3-9 against the spread. We bet Sam Houston. Sam Houston was a case where the coach left, but everyone still cared, right? You saw that with James Madison last year. I'm not sure UNC really cares here. So this just could be a complete no-show. And then without Hampton, he makes their offense. Without Rucker, he makes their defense. I kind of lean UConn, even though I don't see any value in the number. What do you see here?
I've already bet UConn +3. I mean, let's just go high level real quick. Belichick has been given 40 million. That's twice of what we estimate the price that Ohio State bought their team at this year. Belichick's been given 40 million to work this roster. Do you think any of these players on here really feel like they're auditioning for their job?
No.
Probably not. And the strength of this offense was Amari Hampton. Left tackle Harold Sampson, he's going to Texas Tech. That's a huge problem because he had 822 snaps at left tackle and only 41 of them went to Jakaya Leftwich through the whole season. So there you have a big hole at blindside tackle.
He's
Jacoby,
in the portal too, by the way.
yeah. Oh, Jacoby Criswell. You're going to see 15 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. He's not good. 8 big time throws, 13 turnover worthy plays outside the top 100 in passing success rate. And the Yukon D is really good at swatting flies, 21st in creating contested catches. I think I've bet Yukon +3. It's coming down. I believe this will be picked, but there are two names that everybody needs to pay attention. They are in your opt out piece that everybody has to have up and refreshed. And that is the left and right tackles, the bookend tackles of the offensive line for UConn and Chase Lunt and Valentin Sen. I have found no news, and both of them have tweeted off their personal accounts that they're excited for this bowl.
Yeah,
That
I
is
think they're both going to play. Those are the guys. Those are who I'm watching too.
Yeah, and I think, well, Darrell Robinson's not there, but there's another running back that is more than 4 yards after first contact, and that's Cameron Edwards. And he really turned it up at the end of the season, at least 80 rushing yards in the final four games. He doesn't create a lot of missed tackles, but he won't need to if he has his bookend tackles. So keep your eyes on the tackle situation for UConn. Fire if they haven't opted out, if they're warming up, whatever. But I expect this thing to keep going down.
Yeah, I think it's a spot play, and just who UNC has out, and the noise, right? We saw that with Ohio, Jacksonville State, two teams without a coach. All the noise said Ohio really cares, Jacksonville State doesn't, and that's how it played out in the field. I think this is a case where UConn really cares, and I'm not sure UNC really shows up. So I don't like numbers wise. Obviously, if this was -3 on a neutral field and both teams are at full strength, UNC would be a hammer, but UNC's not, and I'm not sure they're going to be fully prepared. I'm not sure they actually spent a lot of this time prepping. I think UNC's the side. Don't take less than 3 if you're gonna bet it, and it is just take the money line at that point. But I do think UNC's the side. All right, let's move on to the next game. Let's go to the Pinstripe Bowl. BC versus Nebraska. Nebraska, a 3.5 point favorite here. A lot of news again in this game. It's going to be a theme throughout. We have some of these power conference teams we're going to be talking about, which have some pro prospects who may or may not decide to opt out. Dana Holgerson is the new Nebraska OC, took over late in the year. Tony White, their defensive coordinator, left for the same job at FSU. John Butler will coach the defense in the bowl. That is important. Why is that important? Because Bill O'Brien knows him very, very well. I think it's a big downgrade. I think Tony White is a very underrated defensive coordinator. Butler used to work for O'Brien at multiple stops, and O'Brien knows him very well, has a month to prepare for this game. There are some opt-outs on the Nebraska side defensively. You're starting linebacker, defensive end, a couple of depth pieces. Their starting wide receiver, Isaiah Nair, will opt out. Not sure. A key name to watch for BC, Ezeruku, who I was maybe one of the most underrated defensive ends in college football this year, should I think be a first round draft pick. He is on the bowl depth chart, but if I had to guess, he would sit, but we'll see. I think BC can hang here. I think this game basically is a coin flip. I love the O'Brien prep angle against Butler here. That offense really started to find itself, found the running back rotation late in the season. I don't think there was really a drop off from Castellanos. I actually think that Grayson James is a better fit for this offense.
Mhm.
I like BC. Lines back up to 3.5. Thank you very much.
Um, Maybe I should refresh my screen because we're going to 4.5. So
Four
listen,
and a half.
yeah, we're going to 4.5. So Nebraska's going to start taking money here, and there's fours across the board painted this.
Well, maybe Azaruko is confirmed out or someone knows.
Yeah, I think we're going to keep going. A couple things to mention around what you said. Matt Rule, by the way, not good in bowls. Maybe doesn't care. 1-3 against the spread in his history in bowl games. Bill O'Brien, you'd say, well, it's his first time to head coach a bowl game, but he was an OC at Bama, Duke, and Georgia Tech. He's been around the block. Weather, big time, 44 degrees, 60% chance of precip, but there's no wind. So ball protection is going to be king here. Going to be a slippery ball going on. There's a heavy rush attack coming from Boston College. There's probably going to be a lot of two tight sets with running back Kai Robichaud, only 15 missed tackles and 164 rushing attempts this year, below 3 yards after first contact. That's not great numbers. You're not going to get explosives out of Boston College, 118th in EPA. BC runs a pretty even split of counter power inside. And Corn, their defense has been very mid FBS success rate against all of those concepts. To me, it's a rock fight on that side of the ball. On the other side of the ball, it's an even distribution of rush and pass attempts for Nebraska. Lead running back Dane Dowdle coming your way, heading to Kentucky. I believe Nebraska is getting a running back from Kentucky. There's a trade in the portal. Emmett Johnson, though, has better numbers for Nebraska rushing offense. Not really in touchdowns, but he's 3.3 yards after first contact, 27 missed tackles forced. Corn runs a lot of inside zone, man blocking, and BC's just been horrific against offensive lines that use man run concepts, 38% success rate. So there is an advantage there. And I would say, yeah, Corn's going to be Nebraska's going to have scoring opportunities, but here's the problem: 113th in offensive finishing drives, 86th in offensive momentum killer, and 133rd in passing EPA. Nebraska's going to get down the field with Dylan Raiola, but he's 67th in on target rate. I expect that out of a kid his age. It's going to get better next year, but it's under or nothing for me, Stuck, because Nebraska's going to be able to get some drives into scoring, but they're one of the bottom 20 teams in finishing drives. Boston College, I see zero explosives, and I see maybe one methodical drive on the day. To me, it's under or nothing. And we got 60% precip here, under or nothing
You
here.
can't run on BC. BC's run defense has been extremely underrated all season, and
Right.
I just don't trust Nebraska to consistently throw the ball on BC. Their weaknesses, their secondary. They've had some injuries back there. They've relied on a lot of youth. I think their defense will hold up. I just trust O'Brien to scheme up some stuff here. I think motivation wise, maybe slight edge to BC, but I'm not really incorporating that. I'm taking the points here. Four. And everyone's going to get a better number than me if you're listening to this. I have 3.5 liked anything over a field goal. Colin, you like the under, which I don't disagree with.
So do you think Bill O'Brien's because you know Belichick's going to be there? You think he's ready to put one down here on BC and kind of give his old buddy a
I don't
little?
think Belichick's gonna be involved in the prep.
No, but he'll be in the press. He's obviously got
Yeah,
to.
he'll be there. I think it
Yeah.
might that might motivate O'Brien a little bit.
Right. That's what I'm. Yeah. Exactly.
But there's a lot of turnover on this UNC team, and again, the noise. Hampton, Rutger, them opting out just tells me that. Let me look. We're going to talk about Alabama, Michigan. Some of Alabama's best players are playing in a meaningless bowl against Michigan. Again, that's noise that they care. I'm not sure UNC really cares about this game and their coach. Listen, it's Freddie Kitchens. Give me Bill O'Brien in the points.
Yeah. And
All
wait,
right, let's.
wait. If
Yeah,
it's steaming, wait to get Boston College.
yeah, yeah. Get a better number than me. All I wanted was over a field goal. I'm gonna be. Anytime I get a good number, I lose anyway. So get a bad number. It's better. All right, let's move on to the New Mexico Bowl, Louisiana versus TCU. TCU 11.5, 12-point favorite against Louisiana, 2:15 Eastern, Saturday, ESPN in Albuquerque. You're gonna go to Albuquerque. New Mexican food is so underrated. It's not Tex-Mex. It's New Mexican food. Get it Christmas, right? They're gonna smother your stuff in either red chilies or green chilies. Get Christmas, get both. Bike In Cafe, really cool Albuquerque eating experience. Go there for brunch, lunch, breakfast. It's really cool. Colin, you have a
Yeah.
recommendation?
Shout out to my son. He got an autographed script of season three, finale, episode 13 of Breaking Bad Full Measure, signed by Bob Odenkirk himself, um, with a little cameo spot for my son. And we have eaten at the Doghouse, where Jesse Pinkman does all of his drug deals on the show. The hot dogs are really freaking good. And what you see in the show with the kind of people that are there, the bikers and all that, that's there too. It is a fantastic place to go and have a hot dog and just kind of relive some Breaking Bad stuff if you happen to be in the ABQ. So I love that place when I go there.
All right, let's get to this game. I tend to think this line is a bit too high
Mhm. Woolridge.
if Woolridge plays, and it looks like he will, but you never know. I thought Holstein was going to play, but Pickens going to start in 2.5 hours. Holstein's out. I was
He was
told by
upgraded to probable on Christmas Eve, Woolridge, which is it was odd to me.
unbelievable upgraded to probable. I was told by someone very close to the bowl game, not going to reveal who it is, that he's playing, and then 10 minutes ago, he's out. So you never really know in these bowl games. You never know. Never assume that you know until you actually see the person on the field.
Yeah.
Saw that with Byron Brown, seeing that with Holstein here.
Or if you're Doug
If
Brumfield, you could even do warm-ups and not even play. So
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I I think Woods is going to play. Again, it's the same thing with Holstein though, because if he doesn't, your backups in the case of Louisiana, their backup is hurt. In the case of Pitt, their backups in the portal. So now you're down to a third string freshman who you don't want to bet on. But you can't. TCU doesn't really run the ball well. Their offense is all. It's just, hey, we're going to drop back and throw, and we're pretty good at it because they have two really good receivers who might play in the NFL. But both of them are out. And Louisiana's strength is their secondary. I think this is a bit too many points. I like Louisiana. What do you think?
I don't think it's enough points for the total, which I'm staring at right now, 58 and a half. One of the sharper books just moved to 59, which is extremely key. If you can get over 59, that is the way that I went and got it in the app before Christmas. Listen, Kendall Briles, the TCU offense, 56% to the rush, but that's the advantages here may come down to the passing game of Josh Hoover because the TCU rush is just not the strength of this team, especially from an offensive line that's going to be missing James Brockermeyer, their center. That is a pretty big loss on that offensive line, and I expect that to really affect the way that they run the ball. Now,
And
you
Jack Beck and Savion Williams, you can't overstate the impact of their loss.
Yeah, and Josh Hoover had a much better year than I predicted this past summer. The passing offense is 12th in success rate. They're 16th in early down success rate. They like to throw it. Kendall Briles has always liked to throw it early. He'd do that with KJ Jefferson. It'd drive me crazy. Hoover's numbers, 23 to 10, TD to INT, big time throw to turnover worthy play, 10 to 19. Pretty even distribution throughout the year of him averaging about two mistakes per game. It's not like Quinn Ewers against Georgia where he had all his turnover worthy plays against one team. It is a pretty even distribution. Hoover's going to make two mistakes. The problem is ULL's defense is 125th in creating a contested catch. Safety Tyree Skipper, who got called out by Timothy Chalamet on College Game Day, doesn't look like he's going to play, and that's really bad
And
because.
I have a bone to pick with Timothy Chalamet.
All right, we'll do it
Everyone,
after this because I already bet
okay.
him to win the goddamn Oscars. That was so good last night, that Bob Dylan movie. All right, listen, ULL is really bad in early down success rate. TCU is extremely good in early down success rate. That's what you need to know about those offenses. And and Stuck's right. This Louisiana defense on especially on the ground, 133rd in defensive rushing success rate. TCU should be in standard downs all day. I would expect 50 plays in standard downs and about 20 in passing downs for TCU. I expect a score every trip. Offensive finishing drives for TCU, 23rd, Louisiana, 121st. You go to the other side of the ball stuck. I'm not going to get into Woolridge if he plays or not, but if he does, Louisiana's 28th in finishing drives offensively, and TCU's 87th. And not to mention, ULL under Woolridge has been top three all season in quality drives. ULL is going to be able to move the ball here. The side, I think it's a tug of war, 11 to 13. I think you're right. I think at 13, you're looking at ULL. The total is where I'm going here. 59 or nothing, whatever. I would get into it and not wait till kick. Even if Woolridge doesn't play, TCU is going to be in standard downs and in scoring position all day.
Yeah, if Ward doesn't play, then I it's tough. I still lean. I mean, would like your bet a little better. I would still lean Louisiana. I just don't know what we're gonna get. I think it's a pretty big drop off
Yeah.
from Ward to the third string. I think he's gonna play, but again, I don't know. That's bowl season. You never really know. I think the loss of TCU's wide receivers is massive. They're both hurt, opting out. So I think Louisiana will care here. I think TCU's gonna care, but it's not like Sonny Dykes has been great in bowl games. I like Louisiana. By the way, my bone to pick with Timothy Chalamet is look, he was great on the show. I know
All right.
that are like hating on him or reading a script. Hey, who cares?
Or the
But he
McConaughey
was
game.
talking about Skipper.
And Skipper was out, right?
He was out, and everyone's like, "Oh, he knew who this is." And I said, "No, you don't know. You're showing you don't know ball. You're saying that Chalamet knows ball. Skipper's been out the last three games. He's not
Yeah.
playing today." I was
A
yelling at
birdie,
myself. No one cares. If you just mentioned the name Skipper on Louisiana safety, then you're just everyone's like, "Oh, he knows ball." I'm like, "He's out. He's not playing." Anyway,
a birdie got into my ear and told me that his Interstellar co-star Matthew McConaughey put all those notes together for him. So,
really?
yep,
That's amazing. I think he did a good job. I have
he
nothing
did.
against
He
him,
did
but
do a good.
I did want to say that no, Skipper was out. Everyone's like, "Oh, you knew the Skipper guy." Didn't
Oh,
McConaughey? You got to go one level deeper. He's been hurt.
listen, we dropped an Akshay Bhatia 125 to 1 for the Masters. Everybody go get Timothy Chalamet up to minus 200. It was plus 140 when I hit it last night. When you look at actors who play musicians and they actually play the actual music, it's an Academy Award every time. You think of Johnny Cash and Joaquin Phoenix, there's a lot of them. Go get it. Take it up to minus 200. Moving on.
All right, let's go to Camping World Stadium for the Pop Tarts Bowl between Iowa State and Miami.
This is going to be a
Miami, a 3.5 point favorite here in Orlando. I think we already talked about a bowl in Orlando. You got to go to Stagger Inn, our
yep.
sister bar in Orlando, and then there's actually a decent if you haven't gone to Epcot, drank around the world, make sure you do that. There's a decent Vietnamese uh, group of restaurants in Orlando, but go to Kaya. Kaya, Filipino restaurant. It's amazing. That's where you need to eat if you go to Orlando. All right, Iowa State, Miami. Miami 3.5 point favorite here. Restrepo, he is so important. I think he's going to be one of the better slot receivers in the NFL. I think he might opt out, but don't know. I think that the signal is there when you say, I'm not sure discussions are ongoing. There's also a risk that that Cam Ward maybe doesn't run as much. Maybe he doesn't play the entire game. Not sure. But I've listened, as I mentioned, I've listened to everything Iowa State says. I think they really care. You do not know me, and you have not been listening to this podcast long enough if you think I'm not fading Miami here. If you think I'm not fading Mario, who has been horrendous in bowls. And do you know why? It makes sense. What is he doing right now?
Roster construction.
Recruiting.
Yeah.
Do you think he's preparing for Iowa State? Absolutely not. Matt Campbell, that team, they're actually preparing for this game. Those seniors care. Miami, whose defense is horrendous, they'll have no plan coming into this game. It's Mario. You think I'm not taking 3.5 in this game? You are crazy. Give me the Cyclones. What do you see?
I see the over here. I'm surprised by the number of players that are playing in this game. Damian Martinez and Cam Ward. That is a big, there are two big pieces on the board for Miami here. And you know what? I don't like either of these coaches. 3-7 against the spread for Matt Campbell and Bulls. Mario Cristobal 2-5-1 against the spread per our Action Labs tool. Shout out PJ again. Listen, Iowa State's D is losing a number of starter and depth pieces at the defensive end of that 3-3-5 stack. They were 120th in pass rush. What's the key to beating Cam Ward? Right? Get him crowded. And that's just not going to happen here. Iowa State's 72nd in havoc. Iowa State's built to defend the pass. They're not really built to hold Cam Ward in the pocket, and they're not going to be able to because they got their top players. They're not going to be there at the defensive end position. Damian Martinez, 4 yards after first contact, 34 missed tackles forced. Did we just not see Arizona State average 8 yards per play against this Iowa State defense? So I expect continuity with Damian Martinez and Cam Ward. Iowa State on the other side, there's advantages. Rocco Beck, he's not at the
It's
same
Miami.
level.
You don't need to say there's advantages. It's Miami's defense.
It
Anyone can
is.
score.
I mean, it's Higgins, it's Noel. Benjamin Brahmer somehow didn't get a target in the Big 12 championship game. I don't know, understand why your 6'7" tight end may not be fully healthy yet, but this was supposed to be a freight train for Iowa State. We'll check in with Campbell at media days next year if I'm allowed to go. Miami's defense, 22nd in line yards with similar strength of schedule as Iowa State. So I don't know if Carson Hansen and Abu Sama mean anything here, but I do think Higgins and Noel are big for Rocco Becht. I took the over. I projected it at 64. I think it's got room to run. Um, the Iowa, yeah,
Their starting safety for Iowa State is out. Bacon
yes,
will not be back. Brzina should be. So, and then you mentioned some of the portal guys for Iowa State, the
yeah.
defensive end. So Iowa State's defense won't be at full strength for what
I
it's
don't
worth.
see any resistance. Do you see resistance here? Do you see any defensive resistance on either side? I don't.
No,
And
but
and what, we're gonna fry three Pop Tarts after this shit? This is gonna be the greatest bowl ever.
I see a careless Miami team turning the ball over a couple times,
Yep.
and that's the difference. I think Iowa State
Yep.
wins. It's bowl prep. Mario is not preparing for this game. Like we heard Kansas State's coach come out and say he's 70% of his time
Well,
spent between the end of the season and the bowl game is on building the roster for next year, 30% on preparing for Rutgers. What do you think it's Miami? It's 99.99999% on building the roster, and maybe we'll throw on an Iowa State play on YouTube and show it to the team. That's it.
I've
All right.
got so much Arkansas info. The problem is we've already podcasted about it. It's more than 70% roster construction at Arkansas. It's maybe 1% bowl plans.
Well, we can with that. What day is that game? Is that on?
Liberty Bowl's tomorrow, 27th.
If you're listening to this, and Mitchell, you want to keep this in. I
If
still like to
Taj,
keep that.
yeah, if Taj Brooks is playing, go.
Yeah, he's on the depth chart. I was
Yeah,
surprised.
yeah.
All right, let's move on to the Arizona Bowl between Miami of Ohio and Colorado State. 4:30 Eastern. Get ready, everybody. We got a bowl game on the CW. Not Colin Wilson. It's on the CW, which I'm excited about. This game should have been on, I think, maybe Christmas Day or Christmas Eve. Put another bowl game on. Tucson, Arizona. If you're gonna go to Tucson, Saguaro Corners. If you're, my brain wants to pronounce it Saguaro, but Saguaro Corners, cool view, good food. Make sure you check that place out. Miami, of Ohio, sitting at a 2.5 point favorite here. Key opt that total 40.5. Super low for a bowl game. Usually hate going unders. Hated even more after we lost one that went over in double overtime. Miami of Ohio, they're starting left tackle out. Starting wide, both starting wide receivers, their top corner, who's important, are all out. Couple guys on Colorado State in the portal, not sure if they're going to play. Two starting defensive ends, their starting linebacker, and one starting wide receiver. I tend to think there's a lot of key guys out from Miami of Ohio. Teams in the MAC, the depth just isn't there. I think the impact of those losses might be a bit more significant than the market is assuming. I think Colorado State, which is not going to have their DC, Jay Norvell and the DC were not getting along. They fired their DC. The linebacker coach is going to call plays here. Uh, I think they've Norvell has credit to him. Torrey Horton is out for the year, their star receiver. He transformed this offense. This is an air raid guy, and they're basically a service academy in how much they run the ball. I think they'll be able to run it here on Miami, Ohio. You have to throw in Colorado State. Can Miami do that with some of their losses at wide receiver? Not really sure. This looks like a coin flip to me. I kind of like the Rams at the points. What do you see?
I've been waiting to converse with you on this before firing because I don't know why Miami of Ohio is favored here. I think it should be a
And
pick
Colorado
up.
State will care. They haven't been to when
Yeah.
was the last time they were in a bowl?
Well,
2017, 18?
it's not only that. This is not Colorado State that you think they are if you have not been paying attention. I know the numbers are going to tell you one story, but in the middle of the season, this team turned into a rushing offense. The two top receivers are gone, Caleb Goody, Person. But ever since
Doesn't
Troy
really
Horton,
matter. Hey, let's run the ball.
yeah, they're just running the ball like crazy. Zone read, not a lot of EPA, a little bit of success rate. Miami of Ohio success rate against outside zone, pretty middle-ish, 49%. They lost their two corners. There's just not a lot here that tells me. First off, I think points are going to be a struggle. I took the first half under. And the reason is because Colorado State is very slow and methodical. They may snap the ball fast, but they are running the ball and it's 3 yards in a cloud of dust. But that is their offense. Colorado State's rushing attack since Torrey Horton, 29 seconds per play. That is not a Jay Norvell offense. He's had to
Yep.
change things on the fly. So I took a first half under
180.
here.
180. This offense did a 180.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know how Miami of Ohio, like, you consider the pieces that are gone, Virgil and Tracy to Texas Tech and Minnesota. Like, that's a chunk of the offense. It's 168 targets and what, 16 TDs? So to me, it was a first half under. I don't think Miami of Ohio should be, I don't think anybody should be favored. I'll probably
Want to
get
put it
it.
on the board?
Yeah, let's put it on the board.
Is there a
Threes out
three out
there.
there?
Yeah, there's threes everywhere. There's one, the sharpest book out there is at 2.5. So we'll put threes out there for everybody.
No, that's
And you know
something
what?
I'll
I
just.
will wait. I will wait. You want to put it in now on the app?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in if
Okay.
it's available.
I'll
And
put it in
then
with you. It'll,
I gotta bet it first
I got to
before I
bet
put
it. Yeah, this is what we do. Got to bet it. Then we put it in the app. And then whether you pay for that immediate response or get it 15 minutes later, it'll start moving.
Hopefully these dogs start barking.
Yeah.
Man, it's been a bowl season dominated by favorites, which is the only team so far that has won outright. Usually see a bunch of outright winners, underdogs. That closes an underdog. Sam Houston State through 14 bowls. One dog has won. All
Yeah.
right, we're in. Jay Norvell, take us to the promised land. We're on the board. By the way, if you haven't been keeping up with the board, our agrees through bowl season so far, we both had Memphis, which is a winner. We have Texas Tech pending. USC, by the way, I bet USC last night. We got the 4 we were expecting. It
Yep.
might even get better, but I went in on a 4. And now Colorado State. Head to head, the only one pending, GT versus Vandy. Can't wait for that one. It's gonna be one
So
of the better
I
ones.
got Notre Dame, you got Clemson, and I shouldn't have got into that bad number on Clemson. I knew I won 14. And then you got Ohio State, right? Was that our playoff ones too?
Uh,
Did we do Notre Dame,
no,
Indiana?
we didn't do Notre Dame. It was just
Oh,
Texas and Ohio State. I'm up 9-7. You need
I think we just both agreed on what side of seven you should be on.
yes, agreed.
That's what we did.
Yeah. No, you were right on that one. Oh, you know what? I'll give it to you. 9-8. We have
I can't believe you're going against
GT
Georgia
versus
Tech.
Vandy.
How are you going against Georgia Tech?
How are you going against Diego? Diego is a dog in a bowl. Georgia Tech, some more key opt-outs.
Why are these guys playing each other? Why can't they play Miami and Iowa State?
Pitt, Toledo should be split up to play Georgia Tech, Vandy, and we'd have two bets.
Why don't you and I just be the
Unbelievable.
goddamn commissioners of NCAA football and just get this figured out?
The bowls will be so corrupt.
Yes.
You don't want to put us as commissioners, I'll tell you that. All right. All right, let's figure out who's going to be out and let's match them up against a team I know that everyone's going to play.
Exactly. A quit
That's
watch. No, it's not a watch. It's a warning.
that would be amazing. All right, let's so agree on Colorado State. Let's move on to the Military Bowl between East Carolina and NC State, Saturday, December 28th, 5:45 Eastern on ESPN.
Can I ask you something before you get into this?
Yes.
What do you know about Greenville, North Carolina?
Uh, the what's the bar called? The famous bar. Oh my God.
I'll let you think about that bar and I'll let you look it up if you want. But let me say this to everybody as we get into this. East Carolina, when you take the state highway out of the triangle and you head out towards Greenville, there are billboards, there are signs. And once you get to Greenville,
Sup dogs, by the way. Sup
yep,
dogs.
East Carolina cares so much about owning the Carolinas. And as you get into this, I want everybody to know they have a chip on their shoulder and it goes through every sport, college baseball, college football, and just a little history here. They lost 21-20 to NC State in the 2022 season. It was a big deal. They smashed Coastal in the bowl later that year. They
Yep.
lost to South Carolina by a field goal in 2021. They beat North Carolina in 2019, doubled them up 41-19. They blew Western Carolina out of the water, beat NC State in 2016, and barely lost to South Carolina. If there is Carolina attached to your name and you're an opponent, Greenville gets hot and they get pissed. And I think they like their new coach. So now let's get into this.
Yes. I'm actually excited for this bowl game because of
Yeah, me
that.
too.
This is like a really good matchup. This is one that I think the bowl powers got right, matching these two teams up against each other because, yeah, there's real hate. ECU has like that real, hey, little brother, I want to beat you syndrome. ECU did respond to their new coach, Blake Harrell, and they played much better. They did lose a starting wide receiver, starting corner. Their stud corner has been out for most of the season, which was huge. I mean, he might be a first round draft pick. Not sure with now the injury questions. Winston Wright, he declared for the NFL draft. I'm assuming he's out. He is important for ECU. Wide receiver, also an All American kick returner. NC State, their starting wide receiver, KC Concepcion, he's in the portal.
Huge. And fielding offers on the campuses of Miami, Texas A&M, and Tennessee.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go to Kansas State. His little brother signed with Kansas State, and he was committed to NC State and then flipped to Kansas State.
You have
But
his skills and you're going to go to Kansas State.
yeah, no, I just saw that his brother flipped, so I
Yeah.
thought maybe he goes to Kansas State, but I assume he might end up in Miami. It's insane some of the money that Miami is throwing around.
That's why
A couple
Zachariah
other
Branch.
guys, yeah, what's that?
That's why Zachariah Branch is still hanging out while Georgia LSU are fighting over millions.
Yes, it's insane. It does look like NC State cares about this game.
Yep.
Van, their defensive end, Belton, their left tackle, McKay, their right guard. These are all the guys I was watching potential opt-outs. They're all on the depth chart. Aiden White, he didn't play in the finale. Their starting corner is really good. He's on the depth chart. Uh, One of the other corners left with an injury, Cisse in the finale, but he's on the depth chart. So it looks like they care. I would assume they do, but I don't. I think this is a good money line dog spot, like for ECU.
Hmm.
I think they're going to be up for this. They care. I think there's a lot of variance with ECU. Like this game could just get wild. If you watch CCU games down the stretch, they just get crazy. Like there's gonna they could have 7 turnovers or they could win this game by 20. I know they're gonna care. I just think this game has a ton of variance. So I think it's the line ticked up because the news hasn't been kind to ECU, But I don't know. I kind of think this is a good money line dog spot for EC. What do you see?
It's hilarious. Stuck and I don't share notes before podcasts. My bullet point says chaotic variance. Um,
Chaos, chaos, chaos.
I think one thing with ECU that's hard, and you talked about their hot streak at the end. I want to get excited about Blake Harrell, but it was Temple, FAU, Tulsa, and UNT that they beat before they lost to Navy. You and I were balls to the wall on this ECU defensive line, and Navy said, nah, trash. So that one gave me a little pause on going hot on ECU here. Um, I mean, one of the easiest strength of schedules in the nation. Caton Hauser has been around. He took over a starter in week 8 against Army, 18-9 TD to INT ratio, but just a major mistake game against Tulsa. If you throw out, like, I think he had what, 7 turnover worthy plays in that game. If you throw that out, he actually finished 15-9 big time throw turnover worthy play. But pressure is a huge
They're
issue.
gonna go fast. There's gonna be there's it's just gonna be chaos. It's gonna be like if you bet on ECU,
It,
just get ready to
it,
expect chaos.
if you could find a prop on fumbles, I would bet it because pressure on Hauser, no big time throws, 7 turnover worthy plays, a 13.2% mistake rate with pressure. NC State, though, the defense, 12th in havoc, but we're missing our guy, right? We're missing Tony Gibson. Does that change how we feel about the 3-3-5? Top 25 tackles for loss and PBUs. It's just a tough assignment for Hauser. So I do expect the ball to be on the carpet frequently for ECU. NC State, I mean, you and I, boy, we were into it about Western Carolina week 1 and the havoc, and the offensive line couldn't protect our boy. 129th in havoc allowed on offense. They never improved from the opening game. 18 fumbles on the season. They lost 10 of them. 12 INTs. They finished -4 in net turnover margin. NC State with 18 goddamn fumbles and 12 interceptions. They finished -4. So I will say NC State runs. I think CJ Bailey is going to be a star next year. I really do. NC State runs counter and inside zone more than anything. ECU can defend that 59% success rate. This is not the Navy offense. What ECU is built defensively to stop that. So with the negative play rates, ECU turnovers, NC State turnovers, I think you're picking a side, like you just said, because my plan, I've written right here, chaotic variance means I would take an NC State money line into another piece, and I would look for a live bet on East Carolina at some point. There's so much
Yeah, good live betting game, I think, too.
huge live betting game, and you need to hit it. You get 2 straight scores off turnovers, fire. You get 2 straight scores the other way off turnovers, fire the other side, sit back, enjoy a potato that we cut up because we hate the potato bowl.
All right, Saturday night, 7:30 Eastern on ABC, BYU versus Colorado. Again, this is a rare conference matchup. It's only happened one other time over the past 40 years. I think Nevada, Colorado State in 2017. Very random one. They like ran out of teams to fill this bowl and they both played each other. But this happened because there's old obligations to the old Pac-12. So you get BYU, Colorado. Colorado a 4-point favorite here. It looks like everyone's going to play in this game. Like this is an exciting bowl game. Awesome. I mean, I assumed everyone for Colorado would sit out. Credit to Dion. It looks like everyone's going to play. This is in San Antonio, by the way. If you go to San Antonio, that's where you get your Tex-Mex. But go to Domingo, get the guac. Just get on the Riverwalk. Domingo, the guac there is amazing. Uh,
Don't go outside the Riverwalk. Stay in the Riverwalk. The rest of San
so
Antonio up above is questionable.
go to a Spurs game, watch
Yeah,
Wembanyama, and then get some guac at Domingo.
and rip some basketball packs. Anything that's Wimby is just basically a block of gold. Anyways,
Whatever happened to Top Shot, by the way? Is that dead?
if Bitcoin keeps doing what it's doing, Ethereum keeps doing what it's doing. By the way, for those of you out there that follow me and do the tops NFTs and the Shohei one of one legend I have, they're moving them all over to OpenSea. Could be a big 2025.
Grifter Wilson is back. I'm kidding. I really don't know anything about Top Shot. I just remember seeing a lot about it and I haven't seen anything about it since. All right.
Used to be a bunch of people that worked at this company that promoted it, sold it, dumped it, and put
Yeah,
that shit on
pump and
everyone.
dumpers.
Yeah.
Uh, Colorado 4-point favorite here. I took BYU. Everyone looks like they're going to play. There is a chance that maybe Shador, maybe you don't play
Yeah.
Travis Hunter, both sides. Maybe they sit out at some point. They're going to be top five draft picks. I get it, Dion. You care. You don't want to opt out. It looks like they're going to play, but there is risk that they don't maybe play the whole game. Hunter doesn't play both sides. I know they have insurance. Every team does that. Yeah, Dion does such a good job in the PR world. But there is some downside risk with betting Colorado here. But it looks like they care. I think both teams are going to care. BYU looks like the Colorado does have a starting linebacker that's in the portal. I'm not sure if Green's going to play. He signed with Alabama because there's one of their defensive ends who's been hurt. Hayes. He says he's going to play, even though he signed with Texas A&M. So it does look like Colorado really cares here. BYU, they're starting safeties in the portal. Other than that, looks like they're fully healthy. It is worth mentioning their offensive line, I should say, is not fully healthy. Brady Kime missed the last 3 games. His backup was also hurt. So in the finale, they moved their left guard to right tackle. Looks like that'll be the case again this week. So that offensive line is worth watching. And Darius Lassiter, their wide receiver, who's also a really good return man, he's suspended for the first half because of an unsportsmanlike penalty in the regular season finale. So that is noteworthy. But what this comes down to me is I think Colorado cares. I think BYU cares. Like this is like a cool conference game in bowl season.
Mhm.
But I don't have I can't find 4 points of separation between these teams. I have these teams basically
Yeah.
equal, power ratings wise. So give me the four. And I think there's more downside risk with Colorado. You never know. Last second, uh, an agent tells Hunter, I think they're going to play, but you just never, again, you never know. Both an agent gets to Hunter and says, "What are you doing? You're not playing. Don't and definitely don't play both sides of the ball here in this bowl game." So
Or
I think this
maybe
game's a coin flip.
maybe his girlfriend tells him not to play.
Yeah, give me the points here. What do you say?
The number is right on the nose. Full rosters both sides. I'd make this four. The odds makers did a really good job of setting this number, so I had to do actually like this is a heavy podcast with a lot of games, but I had to deep dive this one. Colorado offense, heavy pass with Shador right in the teeth of the best part of the BYU defense. That hiring of Hill, the defensive coordinator, was a savior for Kalani Sitake's job. BYU runs a heavy cover one, cover three. 31% of the time they run some man, but Shador, high EPA versus man coverage. He has dominated cover three, 55% success rate, a big play rate of 21% against cover three. I didn't think that was possible against a cover three. BYU is second in creating contested catches. So we're really good on good here. Big time good on good. And you look at Shador, and this is the reason, like Johnny and I talked about this on the intangibles. My third vote in the Heisman was Shador. And the reason I did it 1.1% turnover worthy play rate, only 6 mistakes the entire season. I was extremely impressed with Shador's jump in his numbers. And essentially, the pressure still kept coming at him. You go to the other side, you and I have not liked Jake Retzlaff all year, 77th in on target rate. He is not accurate. And DC Robert Livingston, the secondary for Colorado, they graded out 11th per PFF. Colorado finished 24th defensively in limiting pass explosives. But Colorado does something that not a lot of defenses do. They run 50% man coverage and 50% cover one. And you want to give a quarterback problems, show him a single high safety and then switch him up to man coverage. I'm not trying, I mean, I'm not trying to be X's and O's on this podcast, but because the number is so sharp, I was trying to find advantage here. And the fact that Colorado does 50% man and 50% cover one, and you look at Retzloff is below 47% success rate against those packages and doesn't create explosives. If Colorado is full strength and Travis Hunter is playing and Shadura is playing, Wester is playing, we get those names out there. To me, this is a Colorado play on four. I will also emphasize I make it four. It's not a huge play.
I'm gonna go head to head.
Can we wipe it off the board if Shadura and Travis Hunter aren't playing?
No, that's the risk of bowl season.
Hell no.
You don't want to put it on
I
the
mean,
board.
listen, I sat here and sang like a bird about how I want Clemson plus 14. And I went ahead and went into 13 with you just for fun gambling shit. I do not like losing this board bet with you. It's worse than money.
All right, we'll keep it off.
I will keep it off. Because you're
Uh,
right, Shador. Why is Shador or at least Travis Hunter? I mean, Shador is the kid, right? I can see Dion being like, "Son, you're playing. You're my son." But Travis Hunter, I mean, his commitment is to no one but himself.
yeah.
So I can't do it unless I know they're playing.
Credit to Dion. He's obviously building some loyalty there. He exceeded my
Yes or no, he'll
expectations
be there
there.
when we were podcasting next July.
But again, it's bowl season. Never assume.
Hey,
Just
yeah,
I've
yeah.
learned that over the years.
Yes or no, Dion is the coach of Colorado come next July when we kick this up.
I think yes. Maybe not the year after, but I think he's back next year. All right, let's move on to the final game on Saturday, the Independence Bowl between Louisiana Tech and Army. Saturday, 9:15 Eastern on ESPN. if you go to this game's in Shreveport. If you go to Shreveport, you gotta obviously find your Cajun food fix. Orlando's on the water, on the lake. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong there. Louis Army is 16 and a half, 17-point favorite. I call this the regret bowl because I had money on Army against Marshall, and that line was going to close like 21, and I had under 10, and Marshall opted out, which means they needed to find a replacement, which meant that they needed to find a replacement. And hey, let's call up La Tech. It wasn't too far away, but they were on winter break. The question is, who's going to play for La
Right.
Tech? Who's actually going to come back? It does look like most of the players care. Most of the seniors care. Sonny Cumbie said he expects most of his defense to play. Despite the late notice, a lot of the kids came back to practice. However, they're not going to be at full strength on defense. They're starting defensive tackle who signed with Miami. This La Tech defense, one of the most underrated defenses in the country. They
Absolutely.
down the stretch, they were amazing. But they're starting defensive tackle. David Blake, he'll be out. Starting cornerback Cedric Woods, he's in the portal. They think he's going to play. They're starting defensive end Burnett. I think he's going to be out. And then they're starting linebacker Colby Fields. He's injured. He will be out. Starting left guard Burt Hale. He'll also be out with an injury. So not quite at full strength, but it looks like the roster is going to be in better shape than I might have assumed for a team that gets notified late in the cycle that they're going to be playing in a bowl.
Like,
Louisiana Tech did hire Tony Franklin as its new offensive coordinator, but Cumbie didn't really say if he's going to be involved or who's calling plays there. It does look like their defensive coordinator did a really good job this year. Jeremiah Johnson will stay with the team through the bowl game. Army, the news is, which they never have news, is Udo, their star running back. He signed with Arizona State, hit the portal. Don't usually see a lot of news with service academy teams.
stop calling me Commie Wilson. Arizona State went and stole the best running back off Army squad. They're the commies, right?
Commie Devils. I This game's tough for me. No,
Mhm.
because I never fade service academies. I can make a case for every side in total. I never fade service academies, but service academies usually unreal in bowl games. Louisiana Tech's defense has been unbelievable. This is a team I wanted to bet in a bowl. This is a team that I wanted to bet the under on in the bowl, and they didn't make a bowl. But then here they are. But the
Right.
under is super low.
Yes.
Not sure how to quantify some of their defensive losses. Still trying to figure that out. Army, I mean, this is a big number. I still don't have full confidence in who's going to be in there for La Tech. Their offense is dreadful. I will say that. So I don't know. What do you see here?
Sure. You hit the nail on the head, but there's one thing that needs to be put in bold. The Louisiana Tech defense is really good at everything. They're really, really good against the rush. La
Yeah.
Tech's rush defense finished 16th in success rate against the rush, 33rd in line yards, and 24th in stuff rate. They have a high success rate against outside zone, man, run concepts, and that is what Army's offense has now become under Bryson Daly and Kanye Udo, who is on his way. Now it's Noah Short's turn. Noah Short, I'm not sure if we have enough snaps to say that he can be what Udo is, but he hasn't shown to be tepid or vanilla. Army runs outside zone and man by a large margin more than anything, and that is what La Tech defends. So you sit there and stare at that number as high as it is, and I think I just have this feeling, and I have it highlighted in yellow here. Am I taking a La Tech team total under, or am I taking a full game under? And the problem is that game's going to turn on, and Bryson Daly and Noah Short are going to tell us in the first drive whether this is going to be another Houston thing where it's fucking 10 possessions and 10 touchdowns.
Yep.
And we're going to know off the first possession. And by then, that live number may be 13 and a half. And maybe we just sit on that. But I don't see an avenue stuck for La Tech to score. And I think with what's
Yeah,
going on in
the Army
college,
defense is going to show up.
right. So I think the best bet, if you have to take a bet to the window right now, you're going to say La Tech doesn't get their points. And I'm saying that with what? This team, I'm not even looking it up. What is
What
it,
is their
12 and a
team
half,
total?
13?
Oh,
I mean, I'm just like, what is this
gotta
number?
be 13 and a
13?
half.
Oh,
Let me see.
look at it's got to be so bad.
By 13 and a half in a bowl is
What are we doing? I mean,
because
they have
then
home
like
cooking.
you're down 48-7 and then you
What
get
if
a
your
late.
defense picks ones up and runs it back?
Yeah, let's see. I really don't know what it was. That would be my guess. Let's see.
Yeah, I got it here. We're
Wait,
team.
it's 22. Oh, I'm in the wrong game. I just
Oh
said
my
22 and
God.
a half.
Have you seen it yet? I've
Hold
seen
on.
it. I'm looking at it.
Yeah, it's 13 and a half.
It's 13 and a half.
I can't go under that. Can you? Do you have the cojones?
All right, let's put it on the board. I want La Tech team total under 13 and a half if you want to go over.
What board? I'm not agreeing with this. This is not.
Oh shit. You were okay. All right. I'm
No,
going
I,
La
I
Tech.
I agree with it, but not enough to put it on the board. I can't go. I think that's the right play. I will bless it from afar. I'll
All right.
say that.
I am not putting it in the app because it's literally a quarter unit bet for me. That's the dollar size I'm putting on this. It's not worth me, but I'm going La Tech team total under.
I think I'm gonna bet this game live, but I have to dig in. I have to. I'll be
Because you'll know.
tracking.
You'll know right away.
Yes, and there also could be more guys that I don't know about yet on La Tech that are out.
Right.
Um, the bigger known commodity here is Army. You know they're going to carry. You know they're going to show up. But it does seem, I will say, from just reading, I watched coach interviews. I read every night. I am reading as many things and as you can imagine, trying to search for news. It does seem like La Tech cares, which I didn't think would necessarily be the case, but they're playing in their home state. It does seem like the seniors care. Big like signal here for me is like a guy like Cedric Woods, like that he's deciding to play. Some of their comments, like they're seniors, like they're excited to be in this bowl game.
Yeah.
So might be a bit too many points, but also, yeah, Army just could end up boat racing. So
Also, massive amounts of thunderstorms rolling through Shreveport extremely late Friday night, Saturday morning. And that forecast I've been watching every day keeps getting pushed off. This game's at night. Just keep your eyes out for that.
yeah, that actually could help La Tech because La Tech's offense isn't going to do anything regardless. Their run D's good. Army actually hit some explosive plays in the air. Like Army's probably the more threatening passing offense in this game.
Yeah.
And it does look like La Tech, one of their starting receivers hit the portal, who's important. My guy True. I don't know if he's going to play, but just keep an eye on that. I might bet it live. I'll be digging into more news. But let's move on to Monday, the Music City Bowl between Iowa and Missouri. Missouri a 3-point favorite here, 2:30 Eastern on ESPN the day before New Year's Eve. If you're gonna go to Nashville, this game's in Nashville. Underrated bar, Bourbon Street Blues and Boogie Bar in Printers Alley. Underrated restaurant, Jack Brown's Beer and Burger Joint. Shout out to my guy Fleener. Was down
My
there.
cousin runs the JW Marriott downtown. Stop in and say hi to Mary. She's the best.
Mary.
Mary's my cousin. She runs the
Okay,
JW Marriott.
we will make sure that you say hi and treat Mary well down in Nashville. Always a fun time. News in this game. The hardest thing for me to crack here because it looks like both teams are going to care. Luther Burden did opt out. Missouri starting right tackle, who's really good, opted out. Looks like everyone else is going to play. Missouri did lose its starting center in week 8, but actually I should say their tight end Brett Norfleet, who is important, he's out. So you're going to be down Burden, Norfleet, your stud right tackle. Iowa, their cornerback Jamari Harris is going to play in the NFL. He's been out. He's opting out here. And then the big one is Caleb Johnson, their star running back, who's one of the best in the country.
Yeah, big
What is
loss.
the drop off from Johnson to the backups? Like that's a question that I keep asking myself. It does look like everyone else is going to play for Iowa. It looks like they're getting healthier. Brendan Sullivan will get the start. There was questions about his health, but it looks like he's healthy enough. Friends confirmed that he will start. So when I look at this game, so here's how I think about it. I think Caleb Johnson maybe worth 2 points to the spread.
That's it.
I don't. I mean, it's a running
I
back at
know
the
it's
end
a
of the
running. I
day.
know we're supposed to apply old school rules, but this offense.
Maybe more. But here's the thing. If I take Burden, Membu, Norfleet, I mean,
I got
I
something
could
for you.
argue that the opt-outs are a wash on Iowa and Missouri. I get that you could argue that again, I'm struggling with this. You could argue that Johnson is worth more, and then Iowa. I mean, Iowa's backups back like the running. I love the running back coach.
Yeah.
I I took the points. I might be on an island here. I haven't seen anyone else in the world like Iowa. I make this a pick. Make it a true pick. By who is Missouri? What has Missouri done this year?
Well,
Missouri is the
according to Drink, they were in the running for the playoff.
Missouri is I'll say I think they're the biggest fraud in the country. I've been low on this team since the start of the season. Tell me their best performance this year. At UMass? Is that their best performance? Let's go through their schedule. They beat Mary State. Congrats, Elihu. They Elia. They beat Buffalo. They beat BC at home by 6. They
Full
beat
team,
Vandy at home in
full
overtime by
team.
3. They got absolutely obliterated by A&M, who I think is also kind of a fraud. By the way, I should mention Gentry's back for USC. That's important on their
That's
defense.
a
We talked about
villain
that last
turncoat.
podcast.
That's a villain WWE turncoat by you on Texas A&M. Go ahead.
Uh, Missouri, they beat UMass. They beat Auburn in the game they had to come back like they
Full
by
team.
4.
Yeah.
Auburn didn't even make a bowl. They got shut out by Alabama. They beat Oklahoma by 7 at home.
They didn't. Yeah.
They lost at South Carolina. That actually was a good effort. They won at Mississippi State, and then they won in the last second against Arkansas.
They
What?
oh
What have they done? That is nothing. Give me 3. Give me the Iowa Voodoo Magic. Give me punts. Give me fumbles. Give me field goals. Muck it up, Kirk. Give me the points.
I don't think I've ever seen you like come out of your chair like when we sat down this summer and I said Missouri's schedule is so bad they can make the SEC championship. You about came unglued.
You knew I hated this team all year.
Well, yeah, of course. They were way in over their head against Ohio State in a bowl game last year. Okay,
Oh, Brady Cook's gonna play.
yeah, and Drink is just man. I tell you, that guy. He's got some burner account somewhere and he's trolling people constantly. All that said, I lean Missouri. I want Missouri. The problem is, I don't think this number is going to stay at 3. I think it's going to come back down to a pick. Um, I'll give a couple things out because I think there's a prop in here we should be looking at too. I really want to know if Carroll and Noel are going to be there because if this game isn't resting on Brady Cook's arm and it's basically Noel and Carroll running the ball, I think that's a huge advantage for Missouri here. So you look at Burden and Weiss, right? Luther Burden is in the slot, 80 targets. You look at tight end Brett Norfleet. He was a third leading player in targets at 38 for Brady Cook. Theo Weiss on the outside had 80 targets also. And when you look at that, Cook's turnover worthy play rate dropped from 2.3 down to 1%, but his big time throw rate also got cut in half too. Really, there's no explanation. Drops for Missouri went from 17 last year down to 11. His pressure to sack ratio was steady. Cook just sucked this year, 114th in on target rate. I don't know who that Brady Cook was last year. And maybe it was, maybe it was Cody Schrader. Maybe it was a running back. I don't know. But Cook was
It was a
a
mirage.
shell of who he was. Now, there is a massive drop off at corner without Jamari Harris here for Iowa. Second highest rated coverage defender on the Hawkeyes. Deshaun Lee, the right cornerback, targeted 80 times, 29 catches, 3 PBUs, allowed 2 TDs. I think there's an advantage here for Theo Weiss from an explosive play, maybe from a yardage play, maybe from a touchdown play. I think Theo Weiss has a huge advantage here because of the Jamari Harris sit out.
Yeah, but Harris, he didn't play the last couple games. He was already out.
So okay, but Nate Noel
I
and
get it.
Marcus
There's
Carroll
there's
should
a,
roll.
there's a
They,
bit
they,
of a
sh-
hole.
they should roll. Okay, and Missouri's 16th and third down conversions. There's parts Iowa has that you have to beat. Missouri's not going to beat them in special teams, but in third downs, Missouri's got advantages here. But go look at Caleb Johnson, and I think here's the
I
thing that
get it. He's amazing. He's amazing.
I've tried to get into this year to like let's logically think about what makes a running back great. If the success rate of the team is way higher than the line yards, then the running back is doing all the work. That's it.
That's fair.
And so this Iowa team has a line yards rank of 83rd, and they have a success rate rank around 70th, and then they have an EPA of 33rd on the ground. Caleb Johnson, to me, was worth everything to this offense. So to me, the advantage is the rushing attack of Missouri. I think Weiss has a chance to hit a prop. I hate the number. I think it's going to go down. I'm going to wait. I would love to go head to head with you. I'd like to get closer to the game.
All right. To take all your stats, your advanced breakdowns, and throw them out the window. Muff punts. Fuck it up, Kirk. Give me the Hawkeyes. I think this is a coin flip game. Uh,
Drink deserves a good clock cleaning. I think that's what my grandma
Look
would.
at this turn on you on Missouri.
They
You
beat
looking to
Arkansas
back
every
Missouri
time.
here?
It's not that I love Missouri. They drink
Gross. How's this
despises
team
Arkansas.
ranked in the top 20, by the way? Disgusting. What were you gonna say? Drink what?
Drink despises Arkansas. It's like a free bet every year. But anyways, I digress.
Give me Iowa. I think this closes lower than 3. I don't think
Yeah. Yeah.
it should not be a field goal. All right, we're going to cover these games again on Monday, so we'll do this very quickly because there is, again, these are power conference teams that we're recording this on Thursday, December 26th, with some of these teams that are more high profile with more potential players that could go to the pros. There could be more opt-outs, so we'll touch on these two games on Tuesday. These are games that start at noon and 2 Eastern, and then on Monday's episode, we'll pick up with everything in depth, starting with South Carolina, Illinois on at 3 o'clock on ABC through the college football playoff uh, quarterfinals. That episode we'll record on Monday, should be out Monday night. But just quick thoughts here: Alabama, Michigan, the RELIAQUEST Bowl, Michigan 12 and a half point underdogs here. This line has been bouncing around because there is a lot of news. It looks like Alabama cares here. Milrose says he's going to play. A lot of their other guys who are going to the pros say they're going to play. They do have injuries though. So Malachi Moore, All-American safety, he's out. Keon Sabb is out with an injury. Lawson, their linebacker, is already out with an injury. But it looks like everyone else is going to play. Michigan, on the other hand, they're not going to be at full strength either. They have a bunch of opt-outs. Basically, if you look at who's important on their defensive line, you can assume that they're out. Mason Graham, Josiah Stewart, Will Johnson, who has been out, I think are going to be out. Kenneth Grant, he hasn't declared yet, so he might be back, but I think that he's going to be out. It looks like Barham, their linebacker, is going to play. Donovan Edwards is out. Colson Loveland, he's opting out, their tight end as well. So the Alabama secondary is shaky here because the secondary was already shaky, and now your safeties are hurt. Is Michigan going to take advantage of that? No. I think Alabama destroys Michigan. I don't know, 40-7 type stuff. DeBoer, by the way, motivation signal. Michigan won their Super Bowl. Michigan was terrible, by the way. Michigan is bad, people. I don't know how many times I got to tell you this, but Michigan won their Super Bowl. You know who wants to beat Michigan after last year? Alabama.
Kalen
Do you know who
DeBoer.
also wants to beat Michigan after
Kalen,
last year? Kalen DeBoer.
yeah.
And so the motivation is there. I think Alabama cares. How's Michigan scoring? I don't know. I think Milroe, after how they ended the season, will come out here and have a good performance. And Michigan's team was that D line. They basically beat Ohio State by themselves. They're going to be out. Give me Alabama. Alabama rolls.
How much does Jalen Milroe think about that Seth McLaughlin snap that was literally right in front of me at the Rose Bowl?
Unreal.
Went to his ankles and cost Alabama a trip to the national title last year. We're going to go way in depth on this, so I'll be quick. Jam Miller is going to play. Oh, by the way, this game screams January 1st, 2020 Citrus Bowl. Mac Jones decided to play. Jerry Jeudy decided to play, and they destroyed Michigan 35-16. No one expected Alabama to show up, and they did.
How
This
about
kind
when Bryce Young and Will Anderson decided to play?
yeah, yeah. I don't know what's.
I
I
was
don't know.
fading them that day. I didn't think they were going to play, and they played and they rolled.
I don't know. Maybe it's a Bama booster
Kansas,
thing.
was that Kansas State?
Oh,
Who did Alabama beat that year? It was the Sugar Bowl, I think. Hold on. Yeah, it was Kansas State. Destroyed
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Talk about a losing bet there. But yeah, what do you see here?
Real quick, Jam Miller says he's staying another season with the Tide, so that heavy inside zone with Milroe is intact. That's Michigan. It doesn't even matter what the numbers are because Michigan's lost their key components in Mason Graham, Josiah Stewart. Kenneth Grant might not be there, although there's rumors on Twitter. I don't know why I'm on Twitter on Christmas Day looking up Kenneth Grant, see if he's playing or not. But there's rumors that he's staying for next year. So we'll see. But the biggest pieces of Michigan's defensive line isn't going to be there. And the fact that Jalen Miller might be is really big. I'll save the rest of the details for our next pod. But
Yeah,
if
because
there's
we might have
one,
more insight too on who's playing for sure.
if Milroe plays, if Jahad Campbell plays linebacker for Alabama, if the
They say
left,
they're playing.
if corner Damani Jackson, if they all say they play,
They say they're all playing.
this is a first quarter hammer.
Yeah, the
Alabama,
script, Bama
I,
script.
I mean, how big was the bet for Alabama, Georgia? Because one of those
Well, I
teams
agree with you there.
has the
Let's put that on the
highest.
board.
Yeah, let's put it on the board. highest. You know what? I'm just going to bet it now, and then we're going to have a podcast about it. Which this is why you should listen, everybody. I know this one's a beefy one, but let. I'm betting this now, hard. So I want Alabama first quarter.
Kenneth Grant just declared for the NFL draft one
Oh
minute
my!
ago.
Are you shitting me?
No, not 1 minute
God.
ago.
Can anything else happen while you and I are podcasting today?
I
Um,
gotta
so
update the
I think
sheet.
Alabama, the third highest scoring differential in the first quarter all season. This is truly a Michigan, why would I give a shit game? So that's the bet.
How are they scoring?
How
How are they going to put the ball
do
into the end zone?
how do Ohio State lose
They're
to this
because
game?
Michigan's D line and dumb play calling, but Michigan's not gonna have a D
How,
line
what
here.
number did you get? I'm looking at Alabama minus 2.5, minus 130.
That's fine.
Okay. That's what we're rolling with.
I like Michigan. I like Alabama for the full game. We'll touch on it again on Monday, and then the other game we'll just touch on briefly here. This game's a mess. Louisville, Washington, Sun Bowl. I got married during the Sun Bowl, I believe. I think that was the bowl game that was going on. Got married on a
Oh,
whim down in the beach in Naples. Sun Bowl was going on, and I had to go down to the beach.
was there a live stream? But you and Mac are getting married. Was there a live stream?
My wife, so she was waiting. We found a fishing. My wife was like, we were gonna get married in Vegas. Thank God we didn't. This is 2019, and we were down in Naples. My wife was just like, she doesn't like attention, big productions. So we knew we weren't gonna have like a big wedding. We were gonna get married in Vegas in the summer of 2020. Luckily, we decided to do this on a whim because the summer of 2020, you weren't getting married in Vegas anywhere with the pandemic and everything shut down. Day before, it was December 30th, and she said, "Let's just get married tomorrow on the beach." And I'm not one for weddings, and I said, "Sure, let's do it." We went downtown Naples, got her a dress that she got fitted, and we she was searching on the internet for an efficient, found one that was still in town, said that she'll come to the townhouse on the beach in Naples, gets there, and I'm watching, I think it was Arizona State, was it Sun Bowl? I gotta look this game up. I ended up losing money on this game. I think it was the 29th, this is 2019, December 31st, 2019. I think it was, yeah, it was the Sun Bowl. It's Florida State, Arizona State. And Arizona State ended up coming back. I think they scored 10, 11 points in the fourth quarter to win. Like it was an ugly game. I think it was like the final score was like 20-13. The only other people that were there were my uh, brother-in-law and his wife. They go down to the beach to get ready, like right by the water. I'm sitting in the house still with the officiant, just chatting away because I'm watching this game and I'm sweating this game. I get a call from my brother and he said, "Dude, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You gotta come. We're waiting." So yeah, I was sweating the Sun Bowl while I was supposed to be getting married. Went down there and then ended up losing money on the
See,
game. Wife shattered my phone right after that.
I
She
remember
dropped it,
that. Yep.
and I was like, "Man, is this a bad sign?" Luckily, it's all worked out. But
So
Sun Bowl always have its place in my heart.
I'd like I mean, the fact that Stuck got married during a college football game. I got married to Mando on July 3rd, and all I sweat was the Detroit Open on the PGA Tour and maybe a Toronto Blue Jays under, I believe I was on. So I don't know how you got married during a college football game. It's some.
It was a half hour thing, and we flex. My wife and I hate weddings, and especially during the fall. We can always say we didn't invite anyone. We didn't make anybody go out of their way,
Right.
anything. So we can always say no, we're not going. We it was literally no one, no invites on a whim. I'm so happy we did it
I
that
think
way.
yeah, there was a Slack message after the fact. I got married.
Yeah, got married randomly. Um, so yeah, Louisville, Washington. I mean, Louisville, Bailey's going to start at quarterback. Every bowl game with Brom goes over for what it's worth. I don't
Yep.
know if we can trust that here, but not sure we're going to get with Harrison Bailey. I don't think he's good. Colin Lacey back on the bowl depth chart after deciding to opt out of the season to preserve his red shirt, but looks like he's going to play. Tyler Shuck, the starting quarterback for Louisville. He's not the only opt out. Both of their other starting receivers, Brooks, Huggins, Bruce, they're out. Gelati, their defensive end, He's big. He's out. Quincy Riley, who's going to play in the NFL, their starting cornerback, he's out. Washington, couple offensive linemen are out, including their left tackle, but it looks like their original starting left tackle is going to come back from injury. Maximum McCree, he got hurt during the Iowa game. Steve Belichick, the defensive coordinator, looks like who's going to stay with the team through the bowl game. Couple injuries on that side. Jonah Coleman, he is returning.
Yep.
I think this is take the points or nothing, but
Yeah.
what do you
Yeah,
see here?
we'll talk about this again here in the next podcast. I lean Washington because the rush numbers look so bad for Washington, but you don't realize over the previous three games, Desmond Williams and Jonah Coleman combination are
Yeah,
creating.
Williams is going to play, by the way. It look
Yeah,
over Will Rogers, who got benched late in the season.
there could be explosives here, but they can at least move the chains. I don't expect Louisville to have any explosives whatsoever. And yeah, Colin Lacey is back. 1,300 yards at South Alabama with 7 TDs and a 3.1 yards per route run at South Alabama. That is highly explosive, but we have to trust Harrison Bailey to get it to him. I lean with Washington as well. I feel like almost like we now that we've mentioned it, we probably better make a decision if we're going to hit it right after this.
Yeah,
It,
if you find a three out there, Washington, we won't put it on the board because it's not widely available.
right.
Um, we'll talk about that game more on Monday. We'll see who else is out. But that'll do it for us. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, no, you're right about Braum. I kind of wanted the under in that game. So considering Braum's history, I have to hesitate on that one. So
By
that's
the
it.
way, that game's in El Paso.
Yep.
Our friend, tell me where to go in El Paso. Never
Yes.
been.
Call the voicemails. We'll
All the voicemail.
mhm.
Give us a recommendation.
For a pizza party.
Underrated pizza place, yes. Good call. Restaurant, bar, underrated place to go in El Paso. We will go there eventually, and we will meet up, I promise. But I don't know where to go. I don't know the places in El Paso. I assume there's probably some good Mexican spots. Uh, all right, that'll do it for us. Thanks to Colin for joining me. Thanks to our producer, Matt Mitchell. Happy holidays. Happy early New Year. Merry Christmas to all of you. Thanks for listening. As always, make sure you subscribe, tell a friend, tell an enemy. Go to our YouTube channel, BBOC. Make sure you hit subscribe there. Even if you don't watch us on YouTube, that does help us out. Happy holidays again. Enjoy bowl season. The joys of bowl season. The Hawaii Bowl. That's what it's all about. Time for us to go find some winners, break down the college football playoff games, which we will do on the next episode, part 5, which will be out, I believe, Monday night, early Monday night.
I'll be live from the Fiesta Bowl.
Colin will be recording live from the festival. Yeah, we record that. Looks like 11 in the morning Eastern on Monday, so we'll be out like later that afternoon for part 5. Cheese it. We'll touch on these two games we just mentioned: the Alabama, Michigan, Washington, Louisville. But really in depth, cheese it through the college football playoff quarterfinals. Can't wait. Thanks again for tuning in. Catch y'all later. Cheers.
Peace out.